Hello there, Servum 17 once again. This is my Dawn of Dreams hard no damage run. This is mission, or stage 7, sorry, Temple of Bloodshed. We are being introduced to the gold variant of the standard zombie samurai enemy. Thing to bear in mind with these guys is they're almost identical to the red guys, only they're just as cowardly, if not more cowardly. And they're one of the worst enemies on the game for me personally, because when they get close to you, instead of being aggressive, they're defensive. So watch this fella. He does his running opening attack and he'll guard. Oh no, he won't, because I'm beating his tits up. Look at me getting all aggressive. So the reason I'm doing this is because of that. Every so often, they have these lasers that are attached to doorways, and they're just a barrier of entry. That's all they are, and to be honest, they're very... Whoa! Did you see that? One of my biggest criticisms of this game is the enemies off screen do not make any sound. Like, enemies on screen don't make any sound. You literally only hear them after they've killed you or attacked you. It's really dumb. You know, they don't make any footstep noises, they don't make any growls. All that happens is you just get smacked from behind like that. His sword didn't even make the same noise on that other hit, and it's really confusing. And you have to be aware, if you're going to do something like what you're watching, that the enemies will continue to spawn in some places, and they can attack mid-spawn, they can attack with almost no warning off camera, and you know, it's dangerous. But you should always prioritise the... Oh, and I missed it, damn it. Archers are the bane of a no damage run. They are not hard to kill, they don't serve much of a purpose, and that's what I was going for. I wanted to chain an Isen off that running attack, because this is called a Genma General. You can spot him from a mile off, because he kind of looks like a, you know, butch shredder type dude. That was a test of valor. And we got an ice sword for beating it. So each weapon has an element, or a lack of element on them. And depending on what the element is, depends on what special attack it has. One of the things you don't see me do at all, which Onimusha fans probably are aware of, is there are stages to the magic attack. You might have been watching this and wondering why on the magic bar beneath my life there are those 3 blinking triangles that are red. Well, what that means is, the first blink is the level 1 magic attack, which is the only one you will ever see me do, because it enables me to chain into something called an Isen, a magic critical. The second one would be a level 2 magic attack, and to do that you have to hold the magic attack as you launch it until it initiates the second measure of magic, and the bar will be taken off for as much as where those triangles are represented. So a level 1 will take off up to the first triangle, a level 2 up to the second one, and then the most powerful one is a level 3 will, as you can see, take a good 2/3 of your magic bar to do. But the thing with it is, the level 3 magic really does not seem to do that much damage. Compared to a single level magic and then a critical afterwards, you would be better to do that. You know, it's really strange in how it works. In Onimusha 2, doing the higher level of magic really seemed to be super powerful at times, because the magic critical wasn't a thing. You know, this game has been simplified and made significantly easier than those other titles, in as much as even people who can't time the ascends can now do them if they use the magic, which I think makes it much more accessible for people who perhaps don't like having to time things, don't like having to learn enemies' patterns. But at the same time, you know, it makes it so that if you can get good at it, you can really exploit it. But this is quite interesting too. This is one of those moments where you're like, why is this in the game? It's a really silly environmental hazard that makes a no damage run more tricky than it needs to be. But also, if you have the strength to kill those fiery balls, they will give you 10,000 experience. And I attacked one just then to show you that at this stage in the game, my weapon is very strong. It's not as strong as it could be, but it's max level, it's about 70 damage, something like that. It's pretty damn capable, and I did no damage to that fireball, which shows just how much life it's got. And if you want to farm experience, this is the place to do it, but you have to be so much stronger than I am. And you may wonder, what's the point in farming levels? There really isn't, because all it does is increase your magic and increase your life, and I don't rely on magic that much in this entire playthrough, and I don't rely on life because I'm not getting hit. That's kind of the point. So, leveling up is kind of cosmetic at this moment. You know, I think they could have probably put a really elaborate stat system in, but Onimusha's never really been about that. The accessories themselves are the most modification you can do to the stats, and they're actually quite deep. Like, the accessories on this game are like the rings on Dark Souls. They add a very similar amount of depth, which I think is really cool for a title like this. And, you know, it makes me wish that your games like your Ninja Gaidens, like your God of Wars, you know, like your Devil May Cries, would perhaps get a little bit more deep with that aspect of the game. And don't get me wrong, you get your different weapons, you do get your accessories eventually. You know, God of War has those things that you unlock that can be used in a repeat playthrough that change the game in certain ways. But can you imagine if you could equip specific, you know, accessories, rings, however you want to call them, that really had a profound effect on how you played, and you could almost customize your style of play? I think that would just make it so much deeper and more interesting. But, you know, as we all know, games are not really looking for that, and if they are, they're almost a niche community of your RPGs, your Dragon Ages and things, with your deep and robust customized systems. Because games now are looking to be more simplified, because that's what sells. You know, a lot of people are from a generation of gaming where they want the game to tell them exactly what to do. They never want to be lost. They never want to have to figure it out. You know, they want to focus on whatever part of the game it is that they enjoy. And while I'm glad there is, you know, products that are made with those people in mind, there's also a generation of people that come to games to problem solve and to figure stuff out, you know? And I think those people are being not necessarily patronised, but I think you lose a lot of the quality of your games when it's too simple. And I think Call of Duty's suffering from that. Like, this new Call of Duty is... I'd love to say it's make or break for Activision, but how can I say that when they've already got 2 extra studios making these fucking games for next gen? You know, they already know that they've got almost an upbringing of children now who have been brought up on Call of Duty, who are going to buy it every single year, even though they're not old enough to even own it. So they've got this dedicated player base, and when you're young, you know, you don't care about originality, you don't care about innovation, you just want the same of what you like. So all these people that are occupying these lobbies that aren't, you know, your older folks or your more mature folks, are probably absolutely fine with getting, you know, rehashed the same shit every 12 months. And the sales figures, you know, dictate that. But there's a lot of people that just want it to do something different, you know? And we don't get that. Which I think is the saddest part. This fight here, by the way, guys, I'm going to speed it up because I do not have an upgraded weapon, and you're going to be seeing a lot of this strategy. The strategy is real simple. You attack him from behind, as I showed. When you're attacking him, he's going to spin around and recover and do a massive combo. If you dodge left or right, you can get out of it and combo him. That is literally all I'm doing. But it takes forever because some of the bosses on this game do if you don't have appropriate equipment. And it's definitely one of the major weaknesses of this title. Some bosses just take too long to die, you know. And this is not even a difficulty thing. This guy takes just as long to die on normal as he does on hard. You know, if you don't have a super powerful Tenkai at this point. But the more I watch these developer commentaries, the more I watch things to do with, you know, the dev side of the games, the more I wish I could get a job in it. And, you know, it's not for lack of trying. I have applied to probably over 50 different gaming positions, but it's really difficult when you don't have any experience that reflects that kind of thing. You know, at this moment in time, all I have is promises, you know, and passion, and I'm sure there's probably a studio out there that is willing to give that kind of thing a chance, but there are a lot that aren't, and there are a lot of positions that are asking for some incredibly qualified people. So this boss, I absolutely hated it on my normal playthrough, but on my guide I found a loop. So on this first phase, all you have to do is chase him down and drop his life. Once you drop it to a certain degree, he'll revive himself. It's got such good music too, guys. The music is great, but the fight is utter balls. So as you can see, he summons a bunch of electrical balls that move around the arena, and that's all this fight is. It is evading things that you can't see, because they're off screen, they're rotating, it gets super crowded, super hectic. It would be a good idea if the arena was bigger, but then it might be a little bit too simple. So here's the cutscene, and now here is the loop. You want to rush him, you want to do standard combo into Y. So standard combo Y will stun him, move away, back into standard combo Y. You can block this move if you want to, but I like moving away from it. And then every single time you can get that little stun at the end. And you can get him to loop that attack by just pressing Y, but this is much quicker because you're getting a full combo before you do the move that prompts the attack. So, there you go. I was so happy to find this, and I'm sure it's already been documented somewhere. I didn't create it. That finding loops is something I adore, because it's knowledge and skill destroying a boss that could be incredibly challenging any other way. But thank you so much for watching, and as always, you take care now.